The sound shouldn't exist here. Not in the dead silence of a war room, where the only permitted frequencies are the hum of tactical displays and the subsonic growl of a predator pushed to the brink. It starts in your chest, a mechanical vibration that bypasses your throat and resonates through your ribs, loud enough to shatter the professional distance you've spent 10 years constructing. You are not a prey animal. You are a doctoral specialist in tactical psychoanalysis, a high-level architect of the mind hired to salvage weapons of war. But standing at the blast doors of Sector 4, your body forgets your degrees. The air tastes of ozone and electrified armor. You were brought here to silence the noise in Commander Draven's head, to fix the machine. Instead, you just became the glitch. The question isn't whether you can repair him. It's whether your professional competence can survive a biological mutiny. The bunker sits 3 miles beneath the planet's crusade-scarred crust. It doesn't smell like earth or stone. It smells of recycled oxygen, burnt circuitry, and the sharp, metallic tang of alpha stress. The lighting is oppressive, bathed in the low blue glow of holographic tactical maps that flicker with the movement of 1,000 troops. You adjust the collar of your uniform. It is severe, high-necked, and constructed of a weave designed to strip away any hint of softness. You are here as a mechanic, not a comfort. A lieutenant blocks your path to the inner sanctum. He looks haggard, his beta instincts screaming at him to flee the perimeter. He holds a datapad with trembling hands, his eyes darting toward the sealed blast doors, as if expecting them to buckle from the inside. "He's feral, Doctor," the lieutenant whispers, the word heavy with genuine terror. "He destroyed the logistics console an hour ago because he said it hummed at the wrong frequency. He hasn't slept in 4 days. You shouldn't go in there." You look at him with clinical detachment, shifting your medical kit to your left hand. "If I don't go in there, Lieutenant, his neural pathways will degrade into permanent psychosis within 12 hours. Then you won't have a commander. You'll have a nuclear weapon with no guidance system. Step aside." He hesitates, then steps aside. The blast doors hiss open. The pressure hits you first. It is not atmospheric, it is psionic. The air inside the command center is heavy, thick with the weight of 1,000 voices. This is the burden of the High Commander, the neural pack link that connects him to every soldier on the front line. For 4 days, the link has been a cacophony of screams, orders, and dying breaths. He hasn't slept because the war doesn't sleep, and the noise in his skull is loud enough to shatter glass. You step onto the observation platform. The room is vast, dominated by the central strategy table. And there he is, Commander Draven. He isn't looking at you. He is leaning over the holotable, his hands gripping the edges of the steel frame hard enough to warp the metal. His back is to you, a wall of black tactical armor and tense muscle that seems to vibrate with kinetic energy. You can see the tremors in his shoulders. It isn't fear. It is the vibration of an engine running redline for too long. "Get out," he growls. The voice is low, a subsonic rumble that you feel in your teeth before you hear it with your ears. It is the voice of a creature that wants to be left alone to die or kill. You don't retreat. You tap your datapad, bringing up his bio readings. Cortisol levels are lethal. Adrenaline is critical. His mind is a storm of static. "Your heart rate is 110 beats per minute at rest, Commander," you state, your voice cutting through the gloom like a scalpel. You are functionally hallucinating tactical data because your visual cortex is overwhelmed by the neural feedback loop. "I am not leaving until that loop is severed." He turns. The movement is too fast for a human, a blur of violence that ends with him facing you. His eyes are glowing, not metaphorically. The iris has been swallowed by a bioluminescent silver, the sign of the pack link fully engaged. He looks wrecked. Dark bruises under his eyes, a layer of stubble that speaks of days without care, and a mouth twisted in a snarl of absolute exhaustion. "I didn't order a mechanic," he snaps, taking a step toward you. The air pressure spikes. "I ordered silence." "I am the mechanic," you correct, holding your ground even as your instincts scream at you to bare your throat. "And I am the only one in this bunker with the clearance to walk into your kill zone without fainting, so you can either dismantle me or you can let me recalibrate your synaptic shields." He stops. he looms. The scent of him, gunpowder, rain, and raw, terrifying power, floods your senses. He tilts his head, the predator assessing the threat. He expects fear. He feeds on it. But you offer him only data. You're loud, he mutters, narrowing his eyes. Your pulse, it's distinct. It's professional concern, you lie. It isn't. It is the first warning sign of the glitch. A tightening in your chest. A warmth spreading through your lungs. You clamp down on it, locking your knees. You are a specialist. You are the primal architect of his sanity. You will not break. Sit down, Draven, you command softly, before you fall down. He doesn't sit. Of course he doesn't sit. To sit is to admit vulnerability, and right now, Commander Draven is a creature composed entirely of defensive aggression. He turns back to the holotable, his gauntleted hands slashing through a projection of the chaotic front line. The light fractures, pixelating into a storm of red and blue static before reassembling. The data is corrupted, he snarls, his voice vibrating the metal decking beneath your boots. The southern flank reports a holding pattern, but the atmospheric density sensors show movement. They're lying to me. The link is lying. He raises a fist, the servo motors in his armor whining with the intent to crush the projector console. The link isn't lying, Draven, you say, your voice cool, cutting through the heat of his rage. You step up to the table, entering his personal space, a violation that would get a lesser officer killed. You are. He freezes. The fist hovers inches from the glass interface. He turns his head slowly, the movement predatory and stiff. What did you say to me? I said you are lying to yourself. You reach out, your fingers hovering over the tactical display. You don't look at him. You look at the math. You're reading the atmospheric density as troop movement, but look at the barometric pressure in Sector 7. You tap the glowing blue line. That's a storm front, Commander, not a stealth battalion. You're about to order an orbital strike on a thunderhead because you haven't slept in 96 hours. You swipe the data aside, correcting the projection. The red warning lights on the map turn green. The threat vanishes. There, you state, finally looking up to meet his burning gaze. I just saved you 3 million credits in ammunition and the embarrassment of warring with the weather. The silence that follows is absolute. The hum of the ventilation system seems to die away. Draven lowers his hand. He stares at the map, processing the correction, his mind warring between the instinct to destroy and the undeniable logic of your intervention. The predator in him is confused. It expects submission, fear, the scent of prey. You are giving him algebra. You corrected my command, he whispers. It isn't a question, it's an accusation. I corrected your error, you reply, keeping your posture rigid. There is a difference. One is mutiny, the other is efficiency. I am here for the latter. He turns fully toward you now, abandoning the table. The sheer mass of him blocks out the light from the tactical displays. He takes a step, closing the distance. The air pressure in the room drops, a physical manifestation of his dominance pushing against your lungs. You are a civilian, he growls, the sound layering over itself, a dual-tone resonance meant to trigger immediate biological submission. You do not touch my war. You do not correct my eyes. The alpha voice hits you like a physical blow to the sternum. Your heart stutters, a primal evolutionary reflex to drop to your knees and bare your neck. But you are a specialist. You have trained for this. You dig your fingernails into your palm, using the sharp sting of pain to anchor your mind. Your vocal modulation is drifting, you observe, your voice shaking only slightly. You force yourself to maintain eye contact, to stare into that blinding silver light. You're pitching a semitone too high, Draven. That isn't the voice of a commander asserting authority. That is the growl of a wounded animal trying to hide a limp. You aren't scaring me. You're diagnosing yourself. It is the wrong thing to say, or perhaps exactly the right thing. Draven's eyes widen, the silver flaring bright enough to hurt. He moves faster than thought. One moment he's 3 feet away, the next you are backing up, your spine colliding with the hard, cold steel of the server banks. He slams his hands on either side of your head, trapping you in a cage of electrified armor and raw, radiating heat. He leans down, his face inches from yours. You can smell the ozone coming off his skin, the sharp, metallic scent of a system overheating. "Diagnose this," he breathes, the words vibrating against your skin. "I could crush you before your neurons even fire the signal to scream. You are fragile, you are soft, and you are in my territory." "I am not soft," you whisper, though the proximity is making your head spin. You can feel the heat radiating from his chest plate, a furnace burning through the ceramic layers. "I am structural, and if you break me, you break the only thing keeping your mind from fracturing into static." He doesn't pull back. He leans closer, inhaling sharply at the curve of your neck. You are trapped. The cold steel of the server bank bites into your spine, but you barely register it. What you feel is the furnace, radiating from the man, no, the weapon, looming over you. The heat isn't just warmth. It is a biological weapon dismantling your defenses degree by degree. Your skin burns where his armor nearly touches you, and your mind tries to summon the dissertation you wrote on alpha proximity, tries to calculate the 12-foot perimeter you should have maintained. But theory means nothing when your pulse is hammering a frequency that has nothing to do with professional concern. You stepped into the kill box to correct a map, and now the architect of the war is breathing the air directly out of your lungs. His hand is on the wall next to your head, the black ceramite of his gauntlet groaning under the pressure of his restraint. If he wanted to, he could snap your neck with the same casual indifference he uses to order orbital bombardments. But he isn't attacking. He is inhaling. And that is the problem. The scent hits you like a chemical weapon. It isn't just sweat and ozone anymore. It is something ancient, something that bypasses your prefrontal cortex and hotwires your amygdala. It smells of deep earth, of storm-charged air before lightning strikes, of absolute, terrifying safety. Your doctoral degrees scream that this is a stress response, a biological misfire. Your body screams that you have found the anchor. "You think you can dismantle me?" Draven growls, his voice dropping to that subsonic register that rattles your ribcage. "You are a civilian analyst with a datapad. I am the storm." You try to speak. You have a retort ready. You have a scathing, brilliant deconstruction of his ego prepared, a sentence that would cut him down to size and reestablish your professional dominance. You open your mouth to say, "You are a sleep-deprived biological engine running on fumes." But the words die in your throat. Your chest tightens. It isn't fear. It feels like a second heart waking up behind your sternum. A warm, heavy pressure expands through your lungs, liquefying your resolve. You grit your teeth, fighting it. You are a specialist. You do not swoon. You do not falter. "I am," you choke out, your voice straining. Then the glitch happens. It starts as a flutter, a traitorous spasm in your diaphragm. You clamp your lips shut, but the sound doesn't need your mouth. It resonates through your entire skeletal structure. It erupts from your throat, not a word, not a gasp, but a low, rhythmic, mechanical thrum. Vrm. It is loud. In the dead silence of the command bunker, it sounds like a heavy engine turning over. It is a continuous, vibrating purr that has no business existing in a human throat, let alone in a high-security war room. It is the sound of total, involuntary surrender. Draven freezes. The snarl drops from his face instantly, replaced by a look of utter, blank shock. His pupils blow wide, swallowing the silver bioluminescence until his eyes are black voids of instinct. He goes rigid, every muscle in his massive frame locking up. The noise in his head, the screaming static of the pack link, the chaos of the war, the voices of 1,000 dying soldiers, vanishes. Just like that. Snuffed out. He stares at you, bewildered, as if you just pulled a grenade pin. But he doesn't back away. He leans in. The tension drains out of his shoulders, the tremors stopping instantly. He looks like a man who has been holding his breath for 10 years and finally exhaled. The silence in the room is heavier than the noise ever was. The only sound left in the universe is the humiliating, rhythmic vibration tearing itself out of your chest, betraying every ounce of your professional pride to the predator standing inches from your face. He isn't crushing you. He's listening. The vibration stops only because you physically recoil. You shove him. It is a tactical absurdity, placing your hands against the black ceramite of his chest plate and pushing with all your strength. To him, you are nothing more than a breeze against a fortress wall. But he lets you move. He is so stunned by the sudden absence of the noise in his head that his combat reflexes fail. He stumbles back a step, not from force, but from the sheer, intoxicating shock of the silence you just gifted him. You, he breathes. His voice is wrecked. It sounds like gravel grinding against steel. You don't wait for the rest of the sentence. You don't wait for him to realize that the high-level specialist he hired just purred at him like a contented pet. You scramble backward, your boots slipping on the polished deck. You grab your datapad from the floor where you dropped it, a small, pathetic shield against the reality of what just happened. I have to recalibrate, you stammer. It is a nonsensical excuse. You turn and flee. You expect him to chase. Your dorsal sensors, the hair on the back of your neck, are prickling, waiting for the heavy thud of boots, the grab of a gauntlet. But he doesn't pursue. You glance back at the blast doors before they seal. He is standing exactly where you left him, staring at his own hands, his head tilted as if listening to music only he can hear. He looks drugged. He looks high on the sudden, violent quiet. The corridor is a blur. You bypass the lieutenant, who looks at your flushed face and assumes you failed. You didn't fail. You succeeded too well. You sprint to the temporary quarters assigned to you in Sector 9, a small, sterile room that smells of antiseptic and cold metal. You throw yourself inside and slap the locking mechanism. The heavy Durasteel bolts slam home. Safe. You slide down the door, clutching the datapad to your chest. Your heart is hammering a frantic rhythm against your ribs, but underneath it, the ghost of that vibration still lingers. You are mortified. You are a doctoral candidate. You have published papers on the neurochemical effects of command stress. You do not purr. Analyze, you whisper to the empty room. Analyze the anomaly. You force your trembling fingers to pull up your own biometrics from the smart cuff on your wrist. You expect to see a spike in cortisol, a fear response. You expect the data to show that you were terrified into submission. But the data doesn't lie, and the data is humiliating. Your cortisol levels plummeted the moment you touched him. Your oxytocin spiked by 400%. And the frequency of the vibration recorded by your collar microphone? It wasn't a distress signal. It was a bioacoustic resonance of 25 hertz. You stare at the screen. 25 hertz. That is the exact frequency required to promote bone density growth and accelerate tissue repair. It is the frequency of healing. You didn't purr because you were scared. You purred because his mind was broken, and your biology instinctively tried to knit him back together. You aren't just a specialist anymore. You are a biological anchor. You are the only thing in this bunker that can stop the bleeding in his brain. No, you whisper, closing your eyes. I am not a comfort animal. I am a scientist. You stand up, intending to pack your kit. You will request a transfer. You will leave this planet and its broken king. Then the door shudders. It isn't a knock. It is the sound of metal groaning under immense pressure. You back away as the locking mechanism, a military-grade deadbolt designed to withstand small arms fire, begins to screech. The steel warps inward. Sparks shower from the keypad as the electronics die. With a final, deafening crack, the lock shears off. The door slides open, forced by a hand that could crush a tank. Draven stands in the threshold. He isn't wearing his helmet. He looks wild, his hair disordered, his chest heaving, but his eyes are clear. The silver light is dim, manageable. He looks at you with a terrifying, singular focus. You took it with you, he growls, stepping into your sanctuary. The silence. You took it. You stare at the twisted metal of the lock lying on the floor. It smokes slightly, the smell of burnt circuitry mixing with the sudden, overwhelming scent of rain and ozone that floods your small quarters. Commander Draven fills the doorway. He fills the room. He fills your lungs. He doesn't look apologetic about the destruction of government property. He looks like a man who has found water in a desert and is terrified it might be a mirage. He steps over the threshold, the heavy thud of his combat boots vibrating through the floorboards, shaking the desk you are currently backing into. The silence, he repeats, his voice rough, stripped of the command modulation. I need it. You broke my door, you state, your voice flat. You are trembling, but you force your hands to remain steady as you place the data pad on the desk behind you. You are a specialist. You do not cower before a patient, even one who can dismantle a blast door with his bare hands. This is a violation of the medical accords, Commander. I could have you court-martialed for this. I will buy you a new door, he dismisses, closing the distance. The air pressure in the room spikes. He stops 3 feet away, the exact edge of your personal space. He is respecting the perimeter, but only barely. I will buy you the building. I will buy you the sector. Just make the noise stop. I am not a piece of equipment you can toggle, you snap, the indignation finally overriding the biological instinct to submit. That reaction was a physiological anomaly, a glitch. I am a tactical analyst with 3 doctorates, Draven. I am not a white noise machine for your insomnia. He tilts his head. The silver in his eyes flares, illuminating the sharp angles of his face. He looks at you not as a person, but as the only solution to an impossible equation. Name your price, he says. The intensity of his gaze feels physical, a weight pressing against your chest. I have credits. I have clearance levels that don't exist on public records. I can give you a planet. A quiet one. No war, no static. You laugh. It is a sharp, brittle sound. I don't want a planet, Commander. I want to do my job without my biology betraying my intellect. Then do your job, he counters, his voice dropping. You said you were the mechanic. You said you could fix the machine. The machine is broken, Doctor, and you are holding the only wrench that fits. He takes a step closer. You can feel the heat radiating from him, the sheer kinetic potential of a predator held in check by a thread. I can't just turn it on, you whisper, hating the way your heart rate monitors are spiking on your wrist cuff. It happens when the threat assessment drops. It happens when I feel safe. Then I will make you safe, he vows. The promise vibrates in the air, heavy and absolute. I will shred anything that threatens you. I will burn the sky if it makes you comfortable. Just sit with me. You study him. He is desperate. The pack link is tearing his mind apart, and you are the only shield he has left. You are a scientist. You cannot leave a patient in critical condition, even if the treatment humiliates you. Fine, you say, straightening your spine, but on my terms. He waits, his body tense. Strictly medical context, you list, ticking the points off on your fingers. No touching. You stay on your side of the room, I stay on mine. We talk. If the frequency happens, it is a side effect of the therapy. It is not an invitation. And you fix the lock. Agreed, he says instantly. The tension in his shoulders drops a fraction. He reaches into a pouch on his tactical belt. You flinch, expecting a weapon or a comms device. Instead, he pulls out a small, vacuum-sealed canister. He sets it on your desk with a heavy clunk. It isn't jewelry. It isn't flowers. Kalian Black, he rumbles. The beans. You drink the synthetic sludge in the mess hall. I heard you complain about the acidity levels to the lieutenant. You stare at the canister. Kalian Black coffee has been extinct in this sector for 3 years. It is worth more than its weight in refined plutonium. He didn't just bring a gift. He brought a treasure that requires black market clearance to obtain. You listen to my complaints, you ask, bewildered? I listen to everything, he says, turning back to the broken door. He pauses in the frame, looking back at you with those burning silver eyes. Tonight, 0200 hours, the command center. I'll have the perimeter cleared. He vanishes into the corridor, leaving you alone with a broken lock, a priceless canister of coffee, and a heart that is beating far too fast for a professional consultation. You touch your chest. The vibration is gone, but the echo of it lingers. You have negotiated a truce with a monster, and you aren't sure who just won. The truce lasts exactly 4 hours. You sit in the archive room, the vacuum-sealed canister of Kalian Black cooling on the desk beside you, and for the first time in weeks, the silence feels like peace rather than a threat. You are reviewing the neural schematics for the commander's therapy when the bombardment begins at 02:15. It isn't a direct hit, the shields hold, but the shockwaves from the orbital strike travel through the bedrock, shaking the bunker like a toy in a toddler's fist. The world ends. First, the hum of the ventilation dies. Then the holotables flicker and die. Finally, the emergency strips overhead sizzle and pop. Pitch blackness. Rationality is a luxury of the lit world. In the dark, you are not a doctor. You are a prey animal, trapped in a stone box 3 miles underground. The air suddenly feels too thin. The walls, which you know are 20 feet away, feel like they are pressing against your skin. You drop the datapad. You back up until your spine hits the cold metal shelving. Power cycle, you whisper, your voice trembling. Just a power cycle. The generators will kick in. But the darkness holds. Your heart rate monitor is screaming a silent red alert on your wrist. 120, 130. Your breath comes in short, shallow gasps. Phobia is an irrational error in the code, but you can't debug it. You slide down the shelving unit, curling into a ball, trying to make yourself small enough that the crushing weight of the earth won't find you. You are back in the ruins of the colony, trapped under the rubble, waiting for a rescue that never came. Then, the door opens. You don't hear footsteps. You hear the displacement of air. You smell the change in the room, the sharp electric scent of a storm entering a vacuum. Doctor. The voice comes from everywhere and nowhere. It is low, calm, and terrifyingly close. Draven, you gasp, the name tearing out of your throat. I can't see. I can, he answers. He is suddenly there. You didn't hear him cross the room, but you feel the heat radiating from his armor. He is a thermal anomaly in the freezing dark. He doesn't ask for permission. He knows you are spiraling. He smells the cortisol spiking in your blood. A hand, large and heavy and wrapped in leather and ceramite, finds the back of your neck. It is a grounding wire. He grips you, his thumb pressing firmly into the frantic pulse point behind your ear. He pulls you forward, not roughly, but with the inexorable gravity of a black hole, until your forehead rests against the cool plating of his chest armor. I have you, he rumbles. The sound vibrates through his chest and into yours. The dark cannot touch you here. I am the only thing in the dark. The combination is lethal to your defenses. The terror of the void colliding with the absolute, unshakable safety of the alpha. Your nervous system short-circuits. The glitch fires. Vroom. It rips out of you, louder than before. A desperate, mechanical thrum of gratitude and surrender. It echoes off the metal shelves. You try to stifle it, to clamp your hand over your mouth, but Draven's other hand catches your wrist. He pins it to his chest. No, he commands, his voice rough. Let it breathe. He inhales, a long, ragged sound. The tension in his body, the steel cable tightness that has defined him since you met, snaps. He slumps against the shelving unit, sliding down until he is sitting on the floor with you, his legs bracketing yours. He buries his face in the curve of your neck, inhaling the vibration directly from the source. The screams in his head, the million voices of the war, are finally drowned out by your biological resonance. The silence, he whispers against your skin. It stopped. The screaming stopped. I'm scared, you confess, the purr vibrating the words. I know, he murmurs. Fear makes you loud. I like it loud. For a moment, in the absolute dark, there is no rank, no protocol, just the biological truth of a broken king finding his anchor. Then, the lights scream back to life. Red emergency floods blind you. The ventilation roars. You blink, dazzled, and look up. Draven is staring at you, his pupils blown wide, his hands still possessing your neck. The intimacy is exposed, raw and undeniable under the crimson glare. You pull back, gasping, your face burning with shame. He doesn't let go immediately. His fingers trail from your neck to your jaw, reluctant to break the circuit. "The power is back," you whisper, stating the obvious to bridge the madness. "Unfortunately," he replies, his eyes dark. He stands, offering you a hand. The vibration in your chest slowly dies, but the connection, the golden, invisible thread of the bond, has been forged in the dark. And you both know it. The summit is held in the Spire of Nations, a glass needle piercing the smog of the capital city. To the untrained eye, it is a gala, a convergence of military leaders, planetary governors, and corporate financiers, drinking vintage wine and discussing peace treaties. To you, it is a Shark Tank, and you are swimming next to the Great White. You stand before the mirror in the preparation suite, smoothing the fabric of the gown Draven commissioned. It is not a dress. It is a tactical containment field, masquerading as high fashion. The material is a midnight blue weave of impact-resistant nanites that feels like liquid silk against your skin, but can stop a kinetic round at close range. The high collar protects your throat. The long sleeves hide your trembling hands. The back is open, exposing your spine to the cool air and, inevitably, to him. Pulse is elevated. A voice rumbles from the doorway. You don't turn. You watch him in the reflection. Commander Draven is wearing formal dress blacks, the medals on his chest gleaming under the harsh lights. He looks devastating. He looks like a weapon sheathed in velvet. But you see the tension in his jaw, the way his hands flex at his sides. The static is back. You can see it in the tremor of his jaw, the white-knuckled grip on his thigh. The noise is a physical weight crushing his temples, grinding behind his eyes. My pulse is elevated because this corset is designed to restrict oxygen flow, Commander, you lie, turning to face him. It has nothing to do with the fact that you are staring at me like I am a tactical objective. You are the objective, he corrects, stepping into the room. He doesn't offer a compliment. He offers a status report. He taps the side of his temple, indicating the retinal display of his HUD. I have your biometrics synced to my command interface. If your heart rate spikes above 140, I extract you. If your cortisol hits critical, I extract you. If anyone touches you, I extract their arm from their socket. We are here for diplomacy, Draven, you remind him, stepping forward to adjust a medal that is perfectly straight. It is an excuse to touch him, to ground him before the chaos starts. You cannot dismember the ambassador of Kalor just because he shakes my hand. Watch me, he growls, but he leans into your touch. The silver in his eyes dims slightly. Stay close. The noise. It's loud tonight. You enter the ballroom, and the atmosphere hits you like a physical wall. The air smells of expensive perfume, ozone, and the sour, metallic tang of deceit. 100 conversations buzz in the air, 100 schemes being hatched over crystal flutes. For Draven, it must be agonizing. You see him flinch as a burst of laughter from a nearby group hits his heightened senses like a shrapnel grenade. He places a hand on the small of your exposed back. His palm is scorching hot, a brand of possession that burns through the cool air. He pulls you into the center of the room, not to dance, but to establish a perimeter. Breathe, you whisper, keeping your voice pitched low, under the frequency of the crowd. You are his anchor now. Focus on my voice. Ignore the static. The ambassador at 3 o'clock is bluffing about his fleet strength. His pupil dilation suggests anxiety. The general at 9 o'clock has a limp he's trying to hide. I see them, Draven murmurs, his head bowing so his lips brush your ear. To the room, it looks like intimacy. To you, it is survival. They are loud, they are screaming for attention, but you, his hand tightens on your waist, his thumb digging into the muscle. You are quiet. Keep talking. Don't stop. You guide him through the social minefield. You are the filter for his senses. When a waiter drops a tray, you squeeze his arm before the crash, prepping his nervous system so he doesn't draw a weapon. When a rival alpha flares his aura, you step between them, using your own calm biorhythm to diffuse the aggression. It is a dance of high-stakes management. You are not just a date, you are the cooling rod in a nuclear reactor. But the closeness is dangerous. Every time he pulls you flush against his chest to avoid a passerby, you feel the ghost of the purr rattling in your lungs. You bite your tongue, fighting the biology that wants to vibrate against his suit. If you purr here, in front of the council, you destroy your career. You become a pet. You're trembling, Draven notes, his voice dropping to a dangerous, predatory, soothing tone. Are you cold, or are you fighting it? I am calculating escape vectors, you hiss, your face heating up. Do not provoke the glitch, Draven. Not here. I like it when you fight, he admits, a dark amusement coloring the static in his eyes. It makes the surrender sweeter. Before you can deliver a scathing critique of his sadism, the crowd parts. The air temperature drops 10 degrees. The smell of rot and heavy, cloying cologne washes over you. General Thorn approaches. He is everything Draven is not. Sleek, polished, and oozing a slimy, manufactured charm. He doesn't look like a soldier. He looks like a politician who buys his kills. He stops in front of you, his eyes raking over your dress with a dismissive, oily familiarity that makes your skin crawl. Commander, Thorn sneers, his voice carrying over the sudden silence of the nearby guests. I see you brought your nurse. I see you brought your nurse. The words hang in the air like smoke. Thorn's smile is a jagged tear in his composure, a desperate attempt to assert dominance over a predator he knows he cannot fight physically. He turns his gaze to you, his eyes raking over the midnight blue gown with a sneer that feels like slime. Does she come with a mute button, Draven? Or does she just hum lullabies while you try not to massacre the catering staff? Draven doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. The air around him solidifies. The temperature in the immediate vicinity plunges 20 degrees. You hear the sickening crack of the marble floor tile beneath his right boot as the pressure of his aura crushes the stone. His hand, still resting on the small of your back, becomes a vice. He is not going to debate Thorn. He is going to eviscerate him. Draven, you whisper, not pleading, but commanding. You place your hand over his on your waist. Stand down. He insulted the anchor, Draven snarls, the sound vibrating through your spine. He dies, right now. He is irrelevant, you correct. You step out from the protective circle of Draven's arm. It is a dangerous move, leaving the shelter of the Alpha to confront the challenger alone. But you are not a damsel. You are a specialist. And General Thorn is not a warrior. He is a patient with a very poor prognosis. You walk toward him. Thorn flinches, expecting a weapon. He doesn't realize you are the weapon. You stop 2 feet away, invading his personal space with the clinical detachment of a coroner examining a corpse. You scan him from his receding hairline to his polished boots. General Thorn, you say, your voice projecting clearly over the hushed crowd. It is fascinating that you are critiquing the commander's stability when you are currently vibrating at a frequency of 12 hertz. Thorn blinks, his smile faltering. Excuse me? Your left eyelid, you point out, gesturing vaguely. It's twitching, a classic symptom of neural degradation caused by the prolonged use of illicit adrenal boosters. And your posture. You're leaning heavily on your right leg to compensate for the microfractures in your left tibia, an injury you likely sustained during the botched raid on Sector 4, which you never reported to the council. The room goes dead silent. Thorn's face drains of color, turning a sickly shade of gray. You're lying, he hisses, but he shifts his weight, exposing the limp. I don't lie, General. I analyze, you continue, your voice relentless. You smell of sulfur and synthetic opiates. You are currently high on pain suppressors to mask the fact that your body is rejecting its own augmentations. You aren't fit to command a fleet. You aren't even fit to operate heavy machinery. You are a biological liability wrapped in a dress uniform. You tilt your head, delivering the final strike. If I were your medical officer, I would have you sedated and restrained before you hurt yourself trying to look like a man. For a second, no one breathes. Then, from the back of the room, a high-ranking admiral snorts. It triggers a cascade. Laughter ripples through the elite crowd, cruel, sharp, and dismissive. Thorn isn't feared anymore. He is a joke. He looks frantically around, wild-eyed, stripped of his armor. He looks at you with pure, unadulterated hatred. You'll regret this, bitch, he spits. Careful, Draven's voice cuts through the laughter like an executioner's blade. He steps up behind you, his chest brushing your bare back, his presence enveloping you in a shadow of absolute violence. Threaten her again, and I won't let her diagnose you. I will simply delete you. Thorn looks at the glowing silver in Draven's eyes. He looks at the unified front of the monster and his mechanic. He retreats immediately, turning on his heel and limping away, the uneven gait confirming everything you just said. Draven leans down, his lips brushing the shell of your ear. That, he rumbles, the sound dark and thick with pride, was better than killing him. He had poor posture, you reply, your knees shaking. You dismantled him perfectly, Draven whispers. Do it again. The silence in the armored transport is not the companionable quiet of the balcony. It is the heavy, suffocating silence of a vault door slamming shut. You are coming down from the adrenaline high of dismantling a general in front of the entire High Council, your hands trembling in your lap. You expect praise. You expect a debrief. You expect the Alpha to acknowledge that you just saved his reputation with nothing but a clinical diagnosis and a scathing tone. You do not expect the sudden, sharp change in vector. Reroute, Draven growls into the comms, his voice a low grind of gravel against steel. Destination the Spire, level 90. Initiate lockdown protocol Obsidian. You stiffen. The Spire is his fortress, a monolith of black glass and automated turrets that pierces the smog layer of the upper atmosphere. It is not a home. It is a containment unit for a weapon of mass destruction. And right now, he thinks that weapon is you. Belay that order, you snap, leaning forward. The driver hesitates, caught between a furious specialist and a lethal commander. You turn on Draven, your nanite weave gown rustling like armor against the leather seats. My apartment is in Sector 4, Commander. You are dropping me off, and then I am going to sleep for 14 hours. Sector 4 is a soft target, Draven states, not looking at you. He is staring out the rain-slicked window, tracking invisible threats in the shadows of the city. His hand is clenched on his thigh, the leather governing his knuckles groaning under the pressure. Thorn knows. He saw the way you stood in front of me. He smells the anchor on you. If I leave you in that cardboard box you call an apartment, you will be dead by sunrise. I have security protocols, you argue, though your heart stutters. I have a bio-locked door. You have a deadbolt I ripped off with one hand, he counters, finally turning to face you. The silver in his eyes is churning, turbulent and dark. You are not safe out there. You are coming to the Spire. I will assign a detail. You will not leave the perimeter until Thorn is neutralized. I am not a piece of high-value cargo you can crate up and store in a warehouse, you hiss, unbuckling your safety restraint. The click echoes loudly in the cabin. You don't get to dismantle my life because you're afraid. I have patience. I have a home. And I have boundaries you can't breach with money or muscle. I will buy the lemur a rainforest, Draven roars, the sudden volume making the reinforced glass vibrate. He leans over the console, invading your space, using his size to intimidate. Do not be stubborn, Doctor. You are brilliant, but you are breakable. Thorn breaks things. He enjoys it. And you suffocate them, you shoot back, holding your ground even as his scent, gunpowder, and terrified protectiveness floods your senses. You meet his gaze, your jaw set. I am setting a boundary, Draven. You don't get to command my safety. You don't get to lock me up. I choose where I stand, and right now, I am standing outside your perimeter. If you lock me in that tower, Draven, the silence stops. I cannot anchor you if I am a prisoner. My biology responds to safety, not incarceration. He freezes. The threat hits its mark. The machine needs the mechanic, but the mechanic needs to be free. You are making a tactical error, he whispers, his voice straining with the effort to not simply grab you and drag you to safety. I am setting a boundary, you correct. Driver, stop the car. The transport glides to a halt at the curb of your building. It looks small and fragile in the rain, a brick relic in a city of chrome. Draven looks at it with undisguised loathing. If you walk out that door, he warns, I cannot guarantee I won't tear the city apart to watch you. Then watch me, you say. You open the door. The cold rain hits your face, washing away the perfume of the gala. You step out, your heels clicking on the wet pavement. You don't look back. You walk to your front door, your spine rigid, Knowing that behind you, the most dangerous man on the planet is watching your every step, his hand hovering over a weapon, waiting for a shadow to move. He lets you go, but as you lock the door behind you, you feel the heavy, oppressive weight of his gaze linger. He hasn't left. He has simply widened the perimeter to encompass your entire block. You are free, but you are under siege by his protection. The silence in your apartment is not peaceful. It is hollow, a victory that tastes like ash. You won the argument. You walked away. But standing in the dark, the absence of ozone and gunpowder hits you like a physical withdrawal. Your independence has never felt so empty. You sit at your cramped desk, the holographic display of your personal terminal flickering with low-resolution data streams. The air smells of stale tea and old paper, the scent of a civilian life you fought so hard to return to. But your lungs feel wrong. They are searching for the ozone, the gunpowder, the heavy, pressurized weight of the commander's presence. You tap your stylus against the glass, irritated by your own biology. You are a specialist. You do not miss the stress of a war room. You do not miss the terrifying, addictive proximity of a predator who treats you like a tactical asset. This is withdrawal, you mutter to the empty room. It is a chemical dependency on high cortisol pheromones. It is irrational. Julian, your ring-tailed lemur, chirps from his habitat in the corner. He looks agitated, pacing the length of his branch, his large orange eyes fixed on the window. He senses it before you do. Animals always know when the barometric pressure of safety drops. You stand up, intending to check the lock you so proudly defended against Draven's paranoia. You reach for the handle. Then you smell it. It isn't the clean, electric scent of a storm. It is the cloying chemical stench of accelerant. It smells like sulfur and cheap fuel. Thorn. He didn't send a duelist to challenge you. He didn't send a squad to extract you. He sent a message. "Julian, crate!" you scream, the command tearing from your throat. You don't run for the door. You run for the lemur. You scramble across the room, shoving the protesting animal into his travel carrier just as the window explodes. It isn't a kinetic impact. It is a thermal wave. A canister of military-grade incendiary gel shatters against the brickwork, igniting the air instantly. The blast throws you backward. You hit the floor hard, clutching the crate to your chest as the world turns orange. The heat is instantaneous, a physical wall that eats the oxygen in the room. Your papers, your research, the dissertation on alpha psychology, it all curls into ash in seconds. You scramble on your hands and knees, coughing as the black smoke fills your lungs. The front door is a wall of fire. The biolock security you trusted is melting into slag. "Window," you gasp. "Fire escape." You struggle to your feet, the heat searing your skin. You stumble toward the back window, but the frame is jammed, warped by the temperature spike. You strike it with your elbow. It doesn't budge. Panic, cold and sharp, tries to seize your legs. You are going to burn in a cardboard box, just like he said. Then the glass shatters from the outside. A black-clad figure swings through the smoke. He doesn't look like a firefighter. He looks like a shadow made of Kevlar and violence. He grabs you by the waist, his grip bruising but solid. "Extraction!" he shouts into a comms unit. He doesn't ask if you're ready. He throws you over his shoulder like a sack of grain and leaps. You fall 2 stories, landing on the roof of a parked van that buckles under the impact. Another shadow is there instantly, pulling you off the metal, dragging you away from the building. You stumble to the wet pavement, clutching Julian's crate. You look up. Your sanctuary is gone. The brick building is a chimney, flames licking out of the windows where you used to drink tea. The heat warms the rain on your face. You stand there, shivering not from cold, but from the terrifying realization that your independence was an illusion. You didn't survive because you were smart. You survived because Draven didn't listen to you. He left the guards. He left the shadows to watch the one thing he couldn't afford to lose. The sound of a heavy engine tears down the street, louder than the fire sirens. A massive, armored transport screeches around the corner, jumping the curb and smashing through a hydrant. The water sprays into the air, mixing with the smoke. The driver's side door is kicked open before the vehicle even stops. Commander Draven hits the pavement. He isn't wearing his dress blacks anymore. He's in full tactical gear, but his helmet is gone. His face is a mask of absolute, terrifying ruin. He scans the wreckage, his eyes wild, searching for a body. He is vibrating with a rage so potent, it feels like the air around him is cracking. Then he sees you. He stops. The relief that hits him is violent. He staggers a step, as if the sight of you standing there, soot-stained but alive, has physically punched the air from his lungs. But the relief doesn't last. It is instantly incinerated by a cold, dark fury that makes the fire behind you look like a candle. He walks toward you. He doesn't run. He stalks. He crosses the distance in 3 long strides, ignoring the police, ignoring the firemen, ignoring the laws of physics and man. He stops inches from you. He doesn't touch you. He looks at the fire, then at the guards who pulled you out, then back at you. "I told you," he whispers. The sound is worse than a scream. "I told you to stay in the tower." You want to argue. You want to tell him he has no right to be right, but you look at the ashes of your life and the words die. You clutch the lemur crate tighter. "He burned it," you whisper, your voice cracking. "My data, my home." Draven reaches out. He takes the crate from your shaking hands and passes it to his lieutenant without looking away from your face. Then he takes your face in his hands. His thumbs wipe the soot from your cheeks, his touch surprisingly gentle, trembling with the effort to not crush you. "He didn't burn your home," Draven says, his voice dropping to that subsonic, lethal register. "He burned his own grave." He releases you. He turns to the lieutenant. "Get her to the medical bay, level 90, lockdown." "Where are you going?" you cry out, grabbing his arm. His muscle is rock hard, vibrating with the static of the war. He looks down at your hand on his arm. Then he looks at the burning building. "I am going to finish the conversation," he says. "Thorne thinks he touched a civilian. I am going to show him he touched the core." He pulls away. He doesn't get back in the car. He walks into the dark, rain-slicked alleyway, moving toward the sector where the smoke originated. He isn't going to arrest anyone. He is going to war. "Draven!" You scream his name. It is lost in the roar of the fire and the sirens. He doesn't turn. He walks into the shadows of the alleyway with a terrifying, deliberate slowness. He isn't running because he knows the prey isn't going anywhere. Thorne is waiting for him. Thorne wants this. The lieutenant grabs your arm. "Doctor, we have to go. Protocol Obsidian is in effect. You are the primary asset." "He's walking into a trap," you snap, wrenching your arm free. You look at the burning shell of your apartment. This wasn't just an attack. It was bait. Thorne knows Draven is unstable. He knows the static is deafening. He wants Draven to go feral, so the council can put him down like a rabid dog. "He is the commander," the lieutenant argues, trying to steer you toward the armored transport. "He knows what he's doing." "He isn't the commander right now," you hiss, grabbing the lieutenant's tactical vest and yanking him down to your level. "Look at his biometrics on your HUD. Look at them." The lieutenant blinks, tapping his temple. His face goes pale. Heart rate it's flatlining. "It's not flatlining," you correct, your voice shaking with the terrified certainty of your diagnosis. "It's the predatory drift. He has suppressed his higher cognitive functions to maximize lethal efficiency. He isn't thinking, Lieutenant. He is hunting. And if he kills Thorne in cold blood without a witness, without a reason that the council accepts, he loses everything." You shove the lieutenant toward the driver's side door. "You are not taking me to the tower. You are taking me to him." "I can't do that," the lieutenant stammers. "His orders were specific. Level 90, lockdown." "I am his medical anchor," you scream, the rain plastering your hair to your face. "I am the only one who can pull him back from the edge. If you take me to the tower, you are signing his death warrant. Do you want to explain to the High Council why you let their weapons self-destruct?" The lieutenant hesitates. He looks at the burning building, then at the empty alleyway where his commander vanished, and finally at you. He sees the fire in your eyes. Not the panic of a victim, but the calculated resolve of a specialist who knows exactly how to defuse a bomb. "Get in," he growls, opening the rear door. You scramble inside, clutching the lemur crate. The interior of the transport smells of stale coffee and gun oil, the scent of the bunker. It should be comforting. It isn't. It feels like a cage. Track his signal, you order as the engine roars to life. He's moving fast, the driver reports, the vehicle lurching forward. Sector 12, the industrial district, Thorne's territory. Of course, the scrapyards. The labyrinth of rusted metal and heavy machinery where a signal can't be tracked and a scream can't be heard. As the transport tears through the rain-slicked streets, you stare out the window. The city blurs into streaks of neon and gray. You realize, with a sudden, sickening clarity, that this isn't about the clinic. It isn't about the data. Draven isn't going to war because Thorne destroyed property. He is going to war because Thorne touched you. The realization hits you harder than the explosion did. You aren't just an asset to him. You aren't just a mechanic for his broken mind. You are the territory. And Alpha Draven doesn't negotiate for territory. He eliminates the threat. Your chest tightens. The purr, the glitch, flutters against your ribs, agitated and sharp. It isn't a sound of comfort this time. It is a distress signal. It is calling out to him across the city, vibrating with a frequency that says, "Stop, come back, don't lose yourself." "We're entering the perimeter," the driver warns. "I'm reading thermal spikes, massive ones." "Get me closer," you command, leaning forward. "Doctor, it's a war zone," the lieutenant warns. "I know," you whisper, clutching the door handle. "And I'm the only ceasefire he has." The transport skids around a corner and slams to a halt. The headlights cut through the gloom, illuminating the entrance to a salvage yard. The gates have been torn off their hinges, twisted metal groaning in the wind. Beyond them, in the dark maze of crushed shipping containers, something is burning, and something is screaming. You don't wait for the all clear. You kick the door open and run into the rain. "Doctor!" the lieutenant shouts behind you. You ignore him. You follow the sound. It isn't the sound of gunfire. It is the wet, tearing sound of a wolf that has forgotten how to be a man. You sprint past a stack of rusted girders and skid to a stop in a clearing. Draven is there. He is standing over a prone figure in the mud. He hasn't shifted into a wolf. He hasn't needed to. He is destroying Thorne with his bare hands. The violence is absolute. It is efficient. And it is terrifyingly silent. "Draven!" you scream. He doesn't hear you. His arm is raised, a piece of rebar clutched in his fist like a spear. He is about to deliver the final blow. He is about to cross the line from soldier to murderer. "Jackson!" you roar, using his name. The name he gave you in the dark, the name of the man, not the weapon. He freezes. The rebar hovers inches from Thorne's shattered chest armor. Draven's head snaps up. He turns slowly, fighting the momentum of his own rage. His face is splattered with mud and oil. His eyes are two burning suns of silver fire. He looks at you. He sees you standing in the rain, safe, whole, and furious. The rebar drops from his hand with a heavy clang. He staggers back, blinking as if waking from a nightmare. The silence in the yard is sudden and absolute, broken only by the wheezing gasps of the broken man at his feet. You walk toward him. You don't run. You walk with the steady, measured pace of a handler approaching a tiger. "Stand down," you whisper, stopping just outside the reach of his bloodied hands. He looks at his hands. Then he looks at you. "He burned it," Draven rasps, his voice a broken ruin. "He burned your peace." "And you're burning your soul to fix it," you counter, reaching out. "Come back. That's an order." He shudders. The silver in his eyes flickers, dimming as the man fights his way back to the surface. He takes a step toward you, then collapses to his knees in the mud. The hunt is over. But the bleeding hasn't stopped. You drop to your knees in the mud, the impact jarring your spine. The rain is torrential now, washing the grime from his armor, but failing to cleanse the copper scent of blood pooling beneath him. Draven is conscious, but barely. His eyes are half-lidded, the silver fire dimmed to a low, dangerous smolder. The lieutenant hovers, terrified to touch the weapon that just dismantled a dozen men, but you don't hesitate. You are not afraid of the weapon. You are afraid of the silence that follows its use. "Draven," you command, your voice cutting through the storm. You place your hands on his chest plate, searching for the release latches. "Look at me. Do not fade." He blinks, focusing on your face. A ghost of a smile touches his split lip. Loud, he rasps. You're very loud. And you are bleeding out, you snap, popping the seals on his armor. The black ceramite hisses as it depressurizes, sliding away to reveal the ruin underneath. His tactical undersuit is shredded at the shoulder, the same shoulder you spent weeks rehabilitating. A jagged laceration from a vibroblade cuts deep into the deltoid, weeping dark, oxygen-rich blood. Get him to the transport, you order the lieutenant, who is staring at the wound with pale horror. Now! If he goes into hypovolemic shock, I will dismantle you. Together, you drag the weight of the Alpha into the back of the armored vehicle. It is a cramped, sterile box of gray metal and flickering lights. You shove the lieutenant out and slam the doors, sealing the world away. It is just you, the hum of the engine, and the man who burned a city block to find you. You rip open the emergency medical kit. Your hands are shaking, but your mind is ice. You grab the biostapler and a bottle of high-grade antiseptic. This is going to burn, you warn, soaking a gauze pad. Do it, Draven grunts, leaning his head back against the metal wall. You press the alcohol-soaked pad into the wound. His body jerks, every muscle locking rigid as a hiss of pain escapes his teeth. He doesn't pull away. He leans into the agony, using it to ground himself. I need to sedate you, you murmur, reaching for a hypospray. Your heart rate is erratic. No, he growls, his hand shooting out to grip your wrist. His strength is diminished, but it is still enough to bruise. No drugs. They dull the senses. I need to feel the anchor. You are stubborn, you whisper, abandoning the sedative. And you are going to regret this. You begin to stitch. It is brutal work. The biostapler clicks rhythmically, sealing the torn flesh with medical-grade filament. Draven watches you the entire time. He watches your face, your hands, the way your brow furrows in concentration. He is drinking in your presence like a starving man. Why, you ask, your voice trembling as you tie off a suture. Why did you come alone? You have an army, Jackson. The army follows orders, he murmurs, his eyes tracking a bead of sweat rolling down your temple. They don't hear the static. They don't know what it's like to have 1,000 voices screaming in your skull. And I do, you challenge, swiping blood from your gloves. No, he admits, you don't hear the voices. You silence them. He releases your wrist and reaches up, his bloody fingers brushing against your cheek, leaving a streak of crimson on your skin. It wasn't just the purr, Doctor. The static didn't stop because you made a noise. It stopped because you fought back. You freeze. The biostapler hovers over his skin. Everyone else submits, he whispers, his thumb tracing your jawline. They cower. They agree. They amplify the noise because they are afraid of the storm. But you corrected my map. You argued with my logic. You stood in the fire and told me I was wrong. He inhales sharply, his eyes flaring with that familiar, terrifying intensity. I don't need a subordinate. I have thousands. I need an equal. That is the only frequency that cuts through the noise. The confession hits you harder than the thermal wave. He didn't want a pet. He wanted a partner who could survive his gravity. You drop the stapler. You are done being a doctor. You lean forward, resting your forehead against his uninjured shoulder. You close your eyes. You let the professional mask shatter. You are an idiot, you breathe against his neck. I know, he answers. And then it happens. The safety, the proximity, the overwhelming realization that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Vroom. The sound erupts from your chest, deep and resonant. It vibrates through your ribs and into his. It is louder than before, a powerful mechanical thrum that fills the small transport. Draven shudders. He wraps his good arm around you, pulling you into the cradle of his body. You can feel the tension draining out of him, the pain in his shoulder receding, as your bioacoustic frequency accelerates his cell regeneration. The wound stops bleeding. The edges of the cut begin to knit together, responding to the command of your biology. He buries his face in your hair, inhaling the sound. Stay right there, he commands, his voice thick with relief. I'm not going anywhere, you answer, the purr vibrating the words into his skin. He holds you for a long moment, letting the healing take hold. Then, with a groan of effort, he stands up. He lifts you with him, effortlessly, as if you weigh nothing. He kicks the transport door open. The rain has stopped. Where are we going? You ask, clinging to him. Home, he says. The real one. 3 months later, the bunker has evolved. Amber lamps replace harsh lighting. Your new workstation hums in the corner. Julian chirps from his habitat. But the biggest change is the silence. Commander Draven is asleep. His chest rises in a deep rhythm that hasn't stuttered with a nightmare in 90 days. You sip your Kalian black coffee and adjust a tactical supply line. You're loud when you think, a voice rumbles. You turn. Draven is watching you, eyes half-lidded but clear. The silver fire is a low, steady burn, and you snore when you crash, you counter. It's a tactical liability. He sits up, the movement fluid. The scar on his shoulder is a silver line now, a memory of the night he burned a city to find you. He reaches out. It isn't a request. It is gravity. You go to him. He pulls you down against his chest, his arms locking you into the perimeter. The map was wrong, he murmurs into your hair. I fixed it, you whisper. I know. The vibration starts instantly. Vroom. It isn't a glitch anymore. It is the engine that keeps the fortress running. You don't fight it. You let it resonate through his armor, silencing the last echoes of the war in his head. You accept that you aren't broken. You are the only frequency strong enough to hold a king. Stay right there, he commands, his voice heavy with absolute peace. I'm not going anywhere, you answer, the purr sealing the promise. The war didn't end that night, but the noise did. True power isn't about silencing the world. It's about finding the one sound that makes the chaos bearable. If you want to hear more about the commander's total surrender, subscribe and just signal your presence in the comments.